Hi, it's Ms. Barnhart, and let's continue our discussion of plants with a look at plant transport. Have you ever wondered how water gets from the roots to the top of one of the giant redwoods? After all, plants do not have muscles and can't pump fluid through their tissues. However, water constantly moves through the cell wall spaces between cells, through the plasmodesmata that connect neighboring cells, through cell membranes, and through vascular tissues, seemingly defying gravity as it moves from the roots to the tips of the highest branches. In this lesson, we're going to explore how plants move materials throughout their bodies. Land plants typically live in two worlds: above ground, where their shoot systems acquire sunlight and carbon dioxide, and below ground, where their roots absorb water and minerals. Without evolutionary adaptations that allow acquisition of these nutrients, plants would never have been able to survive on land. Extensive branching root systems with root hairs maximize the amount of water that the plant can absorb through its roots. In addition, symbiotic associations of fungi called mycorrhizae increase the surface area that can absorb water and dissolve minerals. The evolution of vascular tissue, xylem and phloem, allows for rapid long-distance movement of water and photosynthetic products. Xylem transports water from the roots to shoots, and phloem transports the products of photosynthesis from where they're made or stored to where they're needed. The leaves of plants have waxy cuticles to reduce water loss, and have broad leaves that are adapted to maximize exposure of sunlight, and they have stomata to allow gas exchange. Carbon dioxide can enter and oxygen exits. Specialized cells called guard cells regulate the size of these openings to minimize loss of water from these same pores. There are different ways that plants move materials. Before we look at these, let's examine three different pathways materials can move: the apoplast, the symplast, and the transmembrane pathway. The apoplast involves materials moving outside of the cytoplasm, in the cell wall and in extracellular spaces, but never coming inside a cell. Since xylem is dead at functional maturity, xylem is also part of this pathway. The symplast route is when materials remain in the cytoplasm of cells, moving from cell to cell through plasmodesmata, always staying in cytoplasm. The transmembrane route is a combination of these. Most substances employ a combination of these pathways as they move materials through the plant. For short-distance travels, plasma membrane regulates what enters and leaves a cell. Aquaporins are proteins that allow water to more efficiently move into cells. These can be regulated by the plant to help control how much water enters a cell. Proton pumps help maintain the membrane potential, rather than the sodium-potassium pump in animals, as well as help in co-transport of ions across membranes. Water will move from hypotonic regions to hypertonic regions. For long distances, bulk flow is much more important than diffusion. In transpiration, water evaporates from the stomata of plant cells. Since water is a polar molecule, it is pulled up through the xylem vessels in a continuous strand. The rate of transpiration is controlled by the opening and closing of the guard cells. When the guard cells are open, the plant transpires, and water is pulled up the plant. When the guard cells close, transpiration can no longer occur. Water moving in the guard cells makes them swell open. This is thought to be regulated by the movement of potassium ions. If potassium enters the guard cells, then water follows and the stomata open. Should potassium exit, so does water, and the guard cells collapse and the stomata close. So if the plant cell does not get a supply of water, it will wilt. This is unidirectional. Water moves only from roots to shoots. Sugars are transported in a plant through the process of translocation. This goes from source to sink. A source is a place where sugar is made or stored, and a sink is where it is used. You can see in the diagram here that the sugar is loaded into phloem cells from the source cells. This usually requires active transport. Since this lowers the water potential of the phloem cells, water follows by osmosis. The resulting positive pressure causes the bulk movement of the sugar in the phloem to the sink cells. This can be in either direction. So, that's plant transport. I hope it's helpful.